My husband and I became foster parents for the first time this year. And no one could have ever prepared us for that fear you feel when you first become a parent. There is nothing apparent in how to manage the havoc, yet there's something like absolute magic. More than you could ever think or even imagine when you say yes to whatever is God's provision. Of what it is to really give your love with no conditions. It takes real faith to say yes to someone else's vision and to be grateful for the things you have been given. This was not exactly what we pictured when we wanted children, to have them indefinitely. It's definitely not what we envisioned, to be loving only someone else's kids, not knowing the end of what if. But God has a plan for everyone. We met baby boy on May the 4th, so we called him our very own Baby Yoda. He was in the NICU. He had a tube in to get his food. It was my first Mother's Day as a mom. I never felt so simultaneously nervous and calm, and the moment we brought him home, we were in love. I didn't want to think about the moment I might have to give him up. Funny thing about attachment, when you can't have it, it never goes the way you planned it. And I often wondered how Mary felt, how she dealt with loving a boy into a man who was God, knowing her son was the one to be delivered up to death for us. Did you realize what all of that really meant? To love and see her baby boy be crowned with thorns, to see him as he is, as Lord. How does a mother wait in between the manger and the cross? How did Mary face looking forward to so great a loss? And I suppose every parent goes through this in some way, foster or otherwise. Letting go sooner or later is the reality of the wait. And in the meantime, we are being sanctified. We learn to savor that time, counting down the days. He is no longer baby mine. We take parenting in seasons. How to be patient beyond reason. You understand love is more than feeling. I wonder, is that how God loves me? Now I look to the Nativity like a foster story. Joseph raising Jesus for the Father's glory, trusting the Lord and calling his son his own by faith, living day by day, knowing what would be his fate. He must have known what was at stake and didn't want to break his vows, and I relate that to fostering now because we raise our children for a bigger mission. And now, I got that good hope because we all know all children are on loan still. You never quite let yourself peek into the jar of treasures you are storing. You love a child, never really knowing if you'll see him become the man you've prayed for him to be, to watch him growing, wondering about the sowing of those gospel seeds for him to one day, God willing, believe you love him with an understanding that he may never truly be yours. You love anyway, and you continue to pour all the heart in that you can muster with a quiet ache when you foster, because the truth is, he may one day no longer live with you. And this has always been the gig. To know your life is no longer yours, it's his. To learn to give up more than you ever thought to give, to love past your limits, to live for someone more than you ever thought you could commit, because I tell you, it is worth it, of seeing one life saved, of seeing one life change, because you said yes to the gospel way, and life is never gonna be the same. Every day you'll see as a gift of grace given to you by the blood of the Lamb, the supernatural strength to be his hands, to love little ones so that they can love Christ, to one day proclaim his sacrifice. Mary, did you know what you would be giving up, then gaining? What pain you'd feel to see your son hanging, the agony to see your son as he was, whole. Could you rejoice for all of us to see those holes in the palms of his hands to satisfy the law's demands? Did you know what you both would be giving up for us to show the extent of his great love to a people undeserving, a people he was still serving even as we drove nails into his hands and into your mother heart? See, our baby boy went back to his bios 3.5 months in, and those were different kinds of tears. I never knew heartache the same way as on that day he drove away. It's the kind of pain that you can't tame. It just never seems to dissipate. It's amazing how much you learn to love in 3 short months. I can't even imagine 33 years culminating into a mother's worst fear, but when I look at the empty crib, I just remind myself that this is the gig. So still we wait. Maybe we'll have kids of our own, maybe we won't. No matter what, we know God is still in control, and I'm grateful when families can be put back together. That is a picture of the gospel reuniting us with our Father forever. At long last, Jesus came to live, to die, to rise again and give us life. So I can look to the empty cross and know the burden Mary had was to give the world hope.
When I survey the wondrous cross on which the Prince of Glory died, my richest gain I count but loss, and pour contempt on